We all know that AICPA Rule 101 talks about independence. There are multiple ways in which independence was broken at Arthur Andersen. Every firm is going to have some independence threats, and the main threats are advocacy threats, self-review, financial interest, and familiarity threats. And I'm going to talk a little bit about how each of these was seen at Arthur Andersen. The first I'm going to talk about is advocacy threat. One of the biggest ways I saw that this was broken in the book was that when Barbara started at Arthur Andersen, her first day, she was taken right to First Chicago Bank, where she was brought there to open a checking account, because you weren't to bank at your old bank anymore. Arthur Andersen employees banked at First Chicago Bank, which was also an audit client. Another threat is the threat of self-review, and this is when an auditor would be reviewing work that was performed by them previously or by somebody else in their firm. Arthur Andersen was really trying to expand their consulting business, and one of their areas that was quickly growing was their internal auditing department, where they would perform internal auditing services for clients. But the problem was they were also providing the external auditing for these same clients. And Barbara saw instances where the client would sit in the same room with both the internal and the external auditors. They would share documents. And it was just like having the cops and robbers be in the same room. Next, I'm going to talk a little bit about familiarity threats. Now, this is when an auditor becomes too familiar with their client. They're too close. And this happened a lot at Arthur Andersen. They were known to provide lavish entertainments to their clients. They would wine and dine them. They would take them to the Super Bowl, the U.S. Open. They would drive them around in limousines. And it was also common practice that they would provide summer internships to some of their clients' children. And this was all talked about in common practice, and it was to build interdependence. Interdependence, the exact opposite of independence. We also saw problems where a lot of employees that worked for Arthur Andersen would eventually become employees of their clients. This was especially seen at Waste Management, where every CFO and every chief accounting officer had come from Arthur Andersen. The final threat I'm going to talk about is the financial interest threat, and this is where the financial interests of what you're gaining from the client are outweighing your independence for the investing public. What happened at Arthur Andersen, as their fees grew from all their consulting business, their clients became too valuable to divide. One, Enron, was worth thousands of their other individual clients. They called these big clients the crown jewels. And the rules at Arthur Andersen said you never did anything to upset the client, especially these crown jewels. Arthur Andersen in the year 2000 was paid $52 million for their accounting and consulting business. And they thought it wasn't unforeseeable that in the future those fees would grow to be over $100 million. So when the big scandals of Enron came out, what did Arthur Andersen do? They decided to shred 26 trunkfuls and 24 extra boxes of Enron documents. They also wiped their hard drives clean. Clearly, the financial interests made them lose their independence. Now we're going to talk